25, 40, run, William, run! He's got blockers in front, 5, touchdown! Joshua Cribbs! Snap back, ball down, kick block! They blocked the kick!
This is the Oranges, Oranger Browns podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network. I'm your host, Chase Smith, and with me, as always, Jeremy Powell. Jeremy, what's up, man?
Hey, what is going on, Chase? Chase, we have a new head coach, Kevein Stefanski.
Yep.
We have a new GM, Andrew Berry.
Yep.
And guess what?
What?
We have a new fullback, baby. Why don't you tell us a little bit about him?
We do have a new fullback, and joining the show, I don't want to say exclusive because I'm sure Johnny has other requests, but joining the show in one of his first interviews, Johnny Stanton, the new fullback for the Cleveland Browns. Johnny, welcome to the Dog Pound and welcome to the Oranges, Oranger Browns podcast.
Guys, thank you so much for having me on.
All right, so a lot can be said about the Cleveland Browns, Johnny. We're trending a lot of times for not some of the best reasons. Just right out of the gate, what were those conversations like when you got this phone call, hey, we want you to fly to Berea to kind of join the team here? What was that like?
Well, for me, I tried to keep it under wraps. You know, whenever you're called by an NFL team, even if, you have the highest, you're optimistic, you have the highest expectations, but you don't want to be, too excited because you don't know which way it's going to go. The team called me in for a physical and I was immediately, excited, but only telling a couple of close people until, depends on the contract.
Sure.
Immediately I was very excited. I've only had so many chances to be able to join NFL teams. I was just recently with the Vikings. But to rejoin Coach Stefanski over in Cleveland, I was over the moon.
So was he your contact? Was he like, hey, Johnny, I got this. I got the job. I want you to join me. Or who was your initial contact?
No, I got a call from the personnel guys. I hadn't seen or spoken to Coach Stefanski since I saw him in Minnesota back in December. But I got to see him a couple times when I was there. He's such a great coach and such an approachable guy. I was excited to be able to rejoin him.
Let me ask you right now about Kevein Stefanski. He's still new to Browns fans. Browns fans are cautiously optimistic. As you know, we went through a lot of changes. We get our hopes up a lot. What can you tell Browns fans about Kevein Stefanski and his style as a coach?
Well, all you got to do is, watch the Vikings this last year. They were very, potent in the running attack. Dalvin had a great year. The guy that I've learned a lot from, CJ Ham, he was just in the Pro Bowl a couple days ago. They owe a lot of their success to Coach Stefanski. And, honestly, I wish I could have gotten to know Coach Stefanski more. He was offensive coordinator when I was there, but I was only there for 2 weeks, on the practice squad. He was the quarterback coach when I was with the team in 2018, when I was just coming out of UNLV. So, when I was there, we had a couple talks about, Blake Bell was another guy in the tight end room. When I was in Minnesota, and he was a former quarterback. I was a former quarterback. Coach Stefanski was trying to get something started. We're doing a non-quarterback challenge when I was there, but that ended up not working out. But it was, he's a fun coach. He's a very, a super knowledgeable guy, and I'm just excited to be, make a relationship with him.
Do you think the fact that you played quarterback for all those years has helped you with a position change? The fact that you, as a quarterback, you have to have knowledge of everything going on anyway. Is that a plus in changing positions at a high level like you've done?
Yeah, I think so. I think if there's any position that, if you have the athletic capability to switch positions from and join another position, I think quarterback's the position that you would want to come from. You really do get a lot of knowledge from a lot of different, views. You really have to expand your knowledge of the game to be able to play quarterback. And that's what I tried my best to do. Obviously I was only somewhat successful and I didn't get to, make it to the league or anything like that, but playing quarterback, but I was able to find my way there anyway.
So Johnny, let's allow these listeners and other Browns fans to get to know you a little bit better. Just kind of researching your path. It's pretty remarkable the amount of hurdles you're able to overcome and the adversity you're able to work through. You went to 3 different colleges. You transferred twice. Is that correct?
I did a bounce back program where you go Division I back down to junior college level to regain your eligibility for the next year, and then and to try to get re-recruited, and went back to Division I.
And really going back to high school, you led your high school to a state championship in California, and as a 4-star recruit. But you suffered a knee injury your senior year, correct?
I did.
Which kind of threw some plans out the window. You're able to work through that. Walk us through what that was like working through that at college and then kind of readjusting expectations. I'm sure it was challenging.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't speak for anybody else who's gone through torn ACL, but I think there's an interesting point where I think once you start running around and start cutting on the field, you feel like you're okay. You feel like, okay, I could play in a game now, or, okay, I can go full speed and I'm back to normal. And it's really hard to say when you are back to normal. It's really hard to do that without actually having played in a game. And after I tore my ACL, I was out for obviously the rest of my senior season. I was a freshman at Nebraska when I coming into it. And, they had Taylor Martinez there, starting quarterback. They had another guy in front of me. So I didn't have a chance to play that year, which, was expected. The longer you go without playing a game, it's hard to really tell where you are at that point. And practice doesn't really reflect it. So it was a hard point. It was really hard to tell if I was completely healthy yet until really I started, until I played a full season back in junior college.
And through your time in college, was playing fullback, did that ever cross your mind? I mean, at what point were you like, man, this is my opportunity to rep the shield? Like what like, how did that transform in your mind?
I thought my best opportunity maybe to join the NFL was possibly a tight end. That was what I trained at when I was going into my pro day. I did some workouts at pro day as a tight end, as a long snapper. I wanted to prove that I could be an emergency long snapper for a team if need be. And I did the quarterback stuff obviously as well. Minnesota called me after the draft, asking me to join rookie minicamp as a tryout player, as a tight end. And I had trained it, but I'd never gone up against anybody playing tight end. And I think that was pretty apparent really quickly. It was coming off the line up against a second round defensive end is a tough thing to do when you've never played the position before, regardless. So after minicamp, the team actually picked me up as a fullback, which was my first opportunity ever to play fullback.
Wow.
And at that point I just tried to learn as much as possible and, took all the resources possible to learn.
So I was doing some research for this interview and I came up with something pretty cool about you. Your nickname, Johnny Tebow. Where did that come from? And were you a Tebow guy? And tell us a little bit about that.
So, back in high school, my friends, in the stands who were maybe baseball players, basketball players, whatever they were, would love to start chants. And I think the Johnny Tebow was one that just kind of stuck with them. I don't think I've really been called Johnny Tebow much since then.
It's about to change, sir.
Anymore.
Yeah, trust me on this. I got 10,000 followers. You're going to be Johnny Tebow again.
We'll see. We'll see what sticks. I don't know. I always wanted to be my own player. Obviously Tim Tebow's a great guy to look up to. He's just never got to meet him, but he's a great man. I actually did when I tore my ACL. We had a similar contact, I think through his church or something, and he actually sent me a postcard saying, get well soon after I tore my ACL, which was a very cool thing for him to do.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Now tell our fans, like I said, this is a fan podcast, mostly fan listeners. What is the process now? So now you've signed with the Browns, you go back home to work out, I assume. Do the Browns give you a schedule of when you should be there, what you should do? Are you on their off-season program? How does this work and where do you go from here?
Yeah, as of today, I'm on their off-season program. Yesterday took, all day to get back down to Southern California, which is home for me. But yeah, I'm on their off-season program. I rejoined the team in phase 1 in April. And until then, I'm just training on my own, training with their off-season program, training by, any speed coach or, anybody that I can get trained by.
Johnny, are there fullback players current or fullback players past that you are studying their game and really trying to model your game after, and how that kind of fits in Stefanski's scheme? Or what are some fullbacks that you kind of look to model your game after?
I'd say, obviously the first thing that comes to mind is CJ Ham up in Minnesota. He's the guy who I got to train under for a while whenever I was up there with the Vikings. He's a great guy to model yourself after, really great athlete, can do everything that you want a fullback to do, come out of the backfield, catch passes, special teams. He's a great guy to look up to. Mike Carney, a former fullback with the Saints and Rams, actually lives about 5 minutes away from my house. And during the break in the summer when I was back in 2018, I got to train with him a good amount, and he's who I owe a lot of my fundamentals to with the position. And I'm getting back together with him to start training again soon. And yeah, you can't say, guys that you look up to in the fullback position without saying guys like Mike Allstott, Lorenzo Neal, Juice over there in San Francisco. There's a lot of guys that you can watch film of and really try to model your game after.
Juice is a Cleveland guy. A lot of people don't know that he is from this area. He's kind of a local legend around here. So what are your realistic expectations? Do you think you can make a 52-man roster? What is your expectations on the upcoming season?
I'm not trying to make too many expectations. I'm trying to get better and better and more confident in myself, and just take it as it comes. I'm trying to battle with myself. That's first and foremost. Trying to beat my own expectations of myself. And I think if that all goes well, I think good things can happen. But, not trying to set any too high or too low expectations, really just trying to, go with the flow and work hard.
All right, Johnny. Well, hey, we don't want to keep you too long. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on the podcast. Hey, we're rooting for you, man. We hope you make the roster. We hope that you lead the charge for Chubb and whatever happens with Kareem Hunt, and you smash some Steelers and Ravens right in the mouth, man, hitting those gaps. We're rooting for you, man. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. And go Browns.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Go Browns.